I was watching an episode of Chronicles of Olivia, and she was interviewing the Goncalves family. And in this interview, Steve, Christy, and Kaylee's sister all say something very interesting. Take a listen.
What was their flaw? They didn't have a nanny cam in their home. What could they have done to be more safe?
They locked the door perfectly.
Yeah. No, it's Moscow, Idaho. It's safe.
I wonder about the door because Kaylee was a door locker. She would come here, and so I question that all the time. Like, why wasn't the door locked? Why wasn't the door locked?
But that's not what society's built on. You don't say, "Oh, well, you didn't lock the door, so you deserve to die in your sleep."
They all commented on how the door was unlocked. And they said that Kaylee was a door locker. She was the type of person to lock doors, and her mother couldn't why wasn't the door locked? Why wasn't the door locked? I just want to throw this out there. What if it's possible the reason why they can't find a connection between the suspect and the victims is because not only there isn't one, but because he chose these people purely at random. And that the reason he chose this house was because of the unlocked door. You know, it's very similar to Ted Bundy and Chi Omega. The back door lock was broken. That's how he was able to get in. He brought in a log. You know, it's just sort of like one more thing, one more similarity between the two cases. What if there was never a target? What if he just tried the back door, it was unlocked, and that's what made him decide to go into that house? And people will say, well, the layout, and he would have had to have been there before, and not really. I mean, if you look at this, I'm going to show you a virtual tour. It's pretty simple to just walk in, go upstairs, come downstairs, and if there's noise coming from a certain direction, or maybe he saw Xana walking in that direction and he just followed her, it would have been very easy for him to get to that room. He wouldn't need any kind of map. He wouldn't need to have been in there to he wouldn't have needed to familiarize himself with the layout. So what if he just went in to murder everybody in that house? If he came in through the sliding door, all he would have had to do was walk through the kitchen to the entryway. Here's the stairs upstairs. If he's driving around that house and he sees activity in Maddie's room, that's where he knows people are upstairs, so he goes upstairs. And then when he comes down, it's totally possible that when he came down, Xana was coming out of the kitchen, headed down towards her room. He waited up in that stairwell. He waited for her to get far enough so that he could get down without alerting her, and then followed her to the room. But as I've said, I don't think she was in the room. I think she was in the bathroom. And so that's where he attacked Ethan. And then I think he hid behind the bedroom door. And when she came in, I think that's when he attacked her. So he didn't need to be familiar with the layout. He didn't need a map. It was really just all laid out for him. See, one of the things I could never get past from the beginning of this case was how he went into that house when there was so many cars out front. And I couldn't understand why he would do that. Why would he go in the house when there's so many cars? And now I'm wondering, did he go into that house because there were so many cars? If you watch the story I just uploaded, I go more into detail, but what if he chose that house because he knew there was a lot of people inside? Harsh Reality said something today that I happen to agree with, which is, I think the suspect went straight to their bedrooms. I don't think that there was any collateral damage. I think he went straight to Xana's room, either because he saw that she was home and just followed her because he planned on killing everybody in the house, or because he just heard noise coming from that direction. And again, remember, all he had to do was come down the bedroom stairs, and it was dark there and her light was on, or there was any noise coming from that area, like maybe she was in the bathroom, which is what I think was happening, he could have just followed the noise. He didn't need to have been there before. One thing that I do disagree with Harsh is this idea that Ethan somehow got into some sort of altercation with the suspect, as well as I'm also questioning this what Christy Goncalves I'm also questioning what Christy Goncalves said about Hunter Johnson, Ethan's best friend, not being able to get into Xana's bedroom because Ethan was blocking the door. I'm going to show you the layout of the bedroom, or sort of a mock-up. I've shown this before, to give you an idea of why, based on what we know from the PCA, I don't think that's what happened. This is a mock-up of Xana's room. Now, the way the room is set up is very awkward. But if we remember from the PCA that it was said that the detective could see Xana's body as he walked down the hallway towards the room, that would mean she would have to be somewhere here, right? Like at the foot of the bed, in the front of it, underneath the window. Now, because the blood stain is right here, I suspect Ethan, because I think he's in the bed, I think the blood stain came from whoever was lying in this bed. And I believe that was Ethan. I think if you look at the mattress, he's all the way over in the far right side of the mattress, and that would line up here. That would line up with where he was on that mattress. So I don't know how Ethan could have gone from the doorway or the hallway to the bed. The other reason why I don't think Ethan was found against the door is because of that mattress that was taken out of the house. Now, the Goncalves, they've been through a massive trauma, and with trauma comes memory issues, and you do confuse a lot of details. A lot of the leaks that have come out since the gag order, the leak about him following them on Instagram, the leak about him messaging Maddie on Instagram, the leak about Bethany seeing someone naked running from the house, and Ethan allegedly blocking the door, which made it to News Nation back in February. All of these leaks made it to the mainstream media just after the gag order was put in place. And it's my belief that all of these leaks came from the Goncalves, because you can trace back every single one of these stories to Christy telling it either on the Drunk Turkey Show or Steve saying it in interviews, like when he did the interview with the 48 Hours documentary from last month. This is the mattress that I'm talking about, and I've covered this in previous videos. But if you can take a look at it, you'll see that there appears to be one outline of one body on this mattress. And there's nothing over on the left side here that would indicate he maybe rolled out of bed, fell out of bed, or in any way climbed out of bed after he was attacked. And because of his position, because of the head being so far close to the top of the mattress, because of the arm span, because of the width of the chest, this to me looks like Ethan. So I'm not sure Ethan could have been the one blocking the door. So I think that maybe they're getting this information. I don't doubt that Hunter Johnson told them what he saw. I think it's very possible that they either misunderstood, or because News Nation said that Hunter Johnson checked Ethan's pulse, but according to Christie's story, that's not true. And I'm going to play a clip of that.
What had occurred, and he said that, and I'm going to this that the girls called him. He went over. He couldn't get through the door because Ethan's body was blocking the door. That he was able to push open the door enough to peer in and see what he saw. And he said, "Get the F out," and that they called 911 immediately.
Christy says that nobody tested anybody's pulse, that wasn't true. It's unclear if Hunter was even able to get into the room to do that. That doesn't really make sense unless he was able to squeeze himself in. I don't know. I don't think it was Ethan blocking the door. I think it was Xana. And people will say, well, if that's the case, how did he get out? I think it's very possible that if it's true that Dylan yelled, "Shut the F up," and he was startled because he didn't realize somebody else was home, I think it's very possible that when he left, Xana may have still been alive and maybe crawled to that door, because I think he closed it when he left. So I don't think it was Ethan. I think it was Xana. I think he went straight to their room. And I think because we can't, I think it's, I'm wondering now, are we not able to find a connection because there was none, because he was just driving around that night looking for a target and just happened to pick the house that night? Do you think that's possible? Or do you think it's far more involved? I think the killing itself was planned and he had all the logistics all planned out and everything in his car that he needed. But I think that when he was driving around at night, I think he was hunting. I think he was looking for prey. I think he was a predator looking for prey. And I think he chose that house because the door was unlocked. Or at least I think that's possible. Tell me what you think. Leave it in the comments.